And the evidence will show that the opposing party, the one who is requesting alimony today, is perfectly capable of being self-sufficient. He just chooses not to be. So let me introduce you all a little bit more to my client. So Mr. Piner is 41 years old. He is employed and he is good at what he does. So he works with computers and technology. He's also a gamer. He has skills and talents that he has developed over his own years and hard work and dedication to his profession. And he has always supported himself. He's never expected anyone to carry his financial weight. Now, here's what the evidence is going to show about the opposing party. He is 31 years old. He is young. He is healthy, and he is perfectly capable of working. And yet, for the entirety of the party's marriage, he has chosen not to work. He did not stay home to raise any children. There aren't any children. He did not stay home because of a disability. There's not a disability. He stayed home because he wanted to, and he is still under the belief that he deserves to be taken care of. As bad as the financial and domestic situation was, it actually gets worse. So because this case is not just about money, it's also about abuse. So the evidence is going to show through testimony and evidence that we present through exhibits that the opposing party, Mr. Terry, physically abused my client. He manipulated him, he controlled him, so much so that there's actually an active protective order between the parties. So there is a temporary protective order right now in place that protects the opposing party from even being around my client due to the abuse. And to take it one step further, he's been convicted of his abuse towards my client, and he's actually on house arrest right now by way of a ankle monitor. So the man that has been so abusive to my client is now sitting here asking you all to force my client to keep taking care of him financially while he doesn't work. 31 years old, mind you. So let that sink in. The opposing party is going to make claims in this trial. He's going to claim that my client got rid of marital funds or he wasted and hid money. I'm not quite certain how much you all know about filing a divorce and going through a divorce process, but what generally happens is when you file a divorce case, you're able to go through something that's called discovery. What happens is discovery is you're able to discover the finances or anything else that you would like to find out about that your spouse has that you don't have a clue about. So you can request bank statements, you can request retirement statements, you can request deeds, assets, credit card statements, etc., to be able to trace to see the party's money. You can do that for upwards of the duration that the parties have been married. What I will say is that the parties in this matter participated in discovery, requested all the documentation from my client. There was no discovery dispute, and they are not going to be able to prove or show any evidence, any bank statement, any receipts, any document of my client hiding any money. And they had every right to do so during the discovery process. The opposing party believes, well, he wants you to decide whether he should get alimony. He wants all of you to say that my client has to keep paying for a man who abuses him. The opposing party believes that because he was married to my client for 8 years, he is entitled to be taken care of for the rest of his life at 31, mind you. He believes he can sit at home, do nothing, abuse his husband, and collect a paycheck. And that is what he wants. That is what he wants you all to do for him. Here's what we're asking for. We're just asking y'all to end the marriage. We're not asking y'all for anything. The marriage is irretrievably broken. There's no hope of reconciliation. We're asking that you deny his request for alimony. He needs to go get a job and employment. We are asking that you assign their debts fairly. My client is willing to keep all of the debts that are in his name. We're asking that he keeps his debts. You all get rid of the marriage and deny his request for alimony. My client would also like to keep the dog. And other than that, that is all we need you all to do. This is a able-bodied man who is sitting here trying to get 14 of you all to award him my client's money because he doesn't want to take care of himself. And I believe that the evidence is going to show that that simply is unfair, and you all just need to confirm the divorce.
Thank you, Ms. Yarber. Mr. Polanco, are you giving an opening now or are you reserving?
I will. So as Ms. Yarber said, I want to thank every single one of you for taking the time to fulfill your civic duty and be with us possibly for the next 2 days. I think if we run at a good pace, we might be able to get through this in 48 hours by tomorrow, Wednesday. When my client, Kristafer Terry, learned that he was getting divorced by Mr. Piner, he was in jail at the Fulton County Jail. Now, when you receive papers out of jail, it makes you question, well, is there something else going on here? Right? That's certainly the question I had when I went to visit him at the jail in August of 2025. Now, at the time, Kristafer Terry, who weighs maybe 130 pounds, if I'm being generous, looked into my eyes and said, I'm in this situation. I don't know what to do about it. I was given papers for a divorce and I have 30 days to respond. If I don't respond, divorce goes by default to my husband, right? His name is David Piner, and this is his story. Now you're going to be hearing a lot of that story over the next couple of hours and possibly, a couple hours. And both Ms. Yarber and I will have opportunity to speak with Mr. Piner and ask him, what this is all about. Now, you've heard from Mrs. Yarber what this is about, at least in an opening remark sense, right? According to them, their side, they want to be granted a divorce, and just each side walks in their own, respective directions, and we call it a day. But like I said, Kristafer Terry has a story to tell when it comes to all of that, because we didn't ask all of you to take time off of your jobs, your lives, to just dissolve a marriage where each party gets to walk in their own direction, because frankly, we could have done that ourselves, or they could have done that themselves. But Kristafer Terry, my client, feels that he has a story to tell that no one up to this point has heard, and he would like someone to hear it. So as I said, my client was was served with complaint for divorce in September of 2025, and he had to answer within 30 days. He did so, but as part of the answer, he counterclaimed, meaning that David Piner was asking for the divorce to be granted on the ground of an irretrievably broken marriage, which is the 13th cause of divorce. There's 13 causes. Now, in the old days, there used to be 12, adultery, separation after a year, and you had to prove that your spouse had been guilty of one of those 12 causes before you could be granted a divorce by a civil court. But sometimes, in the 60s, 70s, as sort of no-fault divorce became popular, they added this 13th ground, which is the irretrievably broken marriage ground. And basically what it means is that we just, we can't get along. We just want the marriage to be over. It's not that he was unfaithful or I was unfaithful. It's just that, this is the 13th ground. So that's what David Piner is alleging in his complaint for divorces. We just have an irretrievably broken marriage. We have irreconcilable differences is sort of a different way that it's known by. And that's what he assumed. But as part of the answer, we counterclaimed that there specifically one cause for the divorce should be granted, which is what my client is saying, is that the divorce should be granted based on cruelty. Because my client is saying that his husband, Mr. David Piner, has been cruel to him. Okay? Now, so that's the number one thing that you're being asked to decide, and I think Ms. Yarber spoke to it, is the ground for the divorce. What is the reason for the divorce? Is it going to be that we have irreconcilable differences, or is it going to be an at-fault ground of cruelty, which is what my client says that his husband was? Okay. So once the ground for divorce gets settled, the second thing that we're asking for is to, excuse me, to discuss the issue of alimony. Alimony is a word that comes from ancient Rome. it basically referred to nourishment or food sources, maintenance. And it's an old concept that applied usually in marriages where a man maybe was the sole breadwinner because women maybe didn't have sort of a job, sort of out there in the economy before the 19th century. And maybe they would be married to their husbands for 40, 50, 60 years. And then maybe they get divorced later in life. And then, so that's where the concept of alimony comes from. Now, alimony is a relatively rare thing to do. It's not something that's often asked for in cases. It's asked in certain types of cases, usually high net value cases, because sometimes where there is one party that is the only provider and another party that is not, there's a very sort of obvious imbalance of power. And in certain situations, the person that is the person that is not working maybe doesn't have the skills, doesn't know how to get a job, hasn't gone out there. That's somewhat, as you will hear, what's happened with Kristafer Terry, but that's not entirely the story as to why alimony is being asked for. In a sense, alimony is also being requested in this case because of the treatment of and the nature of the relationship. Now, the evidence is going to show, and we're going to hear testimony from both sides, and for the most part, I think they'll agree on most of the same things, but perhaps they may disagree on how to interpret them. But one of the things that you're going to hear is that they met approximately 16 years ago, okay, in 2010. They were both gamers, they met online, and they sort of established a sort of second life type of life, and they decided to meet, dated for a couple of years, lived together. Now, a lot of things happened during those years, and you may hear about some of them, until they get married in 2018. Now, legally, anything that a marriage accumulates during a marriage really only begins accumulating once you get married. So it's really 2018 onward that we should be counting as far as like the marital estate, right? Whenever we distribute, what belongs to which party, et cetera, et cetera. But during the course of the case, we want you to hear what exactly happened during that marriage, okay? Now, every marriage is going to have difficulties, and so there is nothing particularly extraordinary about this particular one, right? Every life has challenges, every marriage has challenges, just being fair to all sides. However, when you start hearing the details of this particular marriage, what you start seeing is sort of this recurring theme, okay? The recurring theme is going to be that Mr. Piner is the sole breadwinner in the relationship. He has a very relatively high prestige, high paying job. And my client is sort of staying at home, okay, and providing the, getting the food and the cooking and doing all the housework, okay? But as part of that dynamic, there's sort of like a very obvious imbalance of power, whereby Mr. Piner is controlling Mr. Terry to such a degree that it's just a very obvious imbalance of power, okay? And the relationship is, as Ms. Barber describes, emotionally abusive. It's emotionally cruel. There's a lot of back and forth, and a lot of it's going to be evidenced by text messages, because we literally have text messages covering a period of 10 years where you can see literally both parties' description and wording as to how they're describing what they're going through. And there's a lot of emotional abuse. We're not alleging physical abuse, we never have, okay? Now, however, as I said, Mr. Terry was served at the jail with a complaint for divorce. And the divorce paper said We want a divorce, each side gets to go its own way. I keep the dog, I keep everything, I give you my debts, but I don't give you any of my assets. Those are the terms. You have 30 days within which to respond. So when I first met Mr. Terry around that time in August of 2025, I didn't know what to make of it. I took the case entirely pro bono. I'm not getting paid $1 for this. I'm doing this entirely out of my sense of what justice means or is supposed to mean. Because I thought that what I was hearing was a bit outrageous. And you will be hearing the details of that over the next couple of hours. The text messages that you will hear and will be submitted and admitted into evidence are going to contain a lot of statements by Mr. Piner that describe exactly how he's viewing what's going on, right? In other words, go get me a soda and a burrito, don't spend $20. So whatever the situation has to do to benefit him, he's very liberal and giving and caring. But when it comes to feeding Mr. Terry's and nourishing his needs, he can be quite selfish. The dog, you're going to see that one of the issues that is being discussed and being debated is gets to keep the dog. Now, we are definitely not bringing you here because of a dog dispute, but when Mr. Terry read in that complaint inside the jailhouse that the person that's suing him in the jail and put him there in the first place wants to keep the dog too. That was sort of like this ultimate offense, right, to him. And, and so he's asking for it at the end of it, okay? He's asking for alimony, not for the rest of his life, as Ms. Barber suggests. We are only asking for alimony for a relatively temporary period of time that he can get on his feet. Mr. Terry has not worked ever in his life, except for his husband, Mr. Pine, since he was very young. So you will see documents regarding vet visits, the dog contract, when the dog was purchased, who the dog belongs to, et cetera, et cetera. You're gonna be reading the text messages where Mr. Piner opines about, different subjects, religion, and other things. And as you hear testimony from both parties, like the court suggested, take a close look at two things. Number one is just sort of their demeanor, and then number two is the consistency of their statements, right? Because you can sometimes see in a person, sometimes just sort of shining in their skin, if they're sort of telling you the truth, right? On the other hand, and you can see what the motive is, right? No motive for them telling you the truth or the lie, whatever the case may be. But also look at the consistency of the statements throughout, right? Because one thing that you're going to see in this, and the evidence is very clearly going to show this, is that the pretext that Mr. Piner is giving my client as sort of like a justification to out of this relationship after 8 years of being married together is religion. Jesus, Satan, and all sorts of stuff. And you're going to see those text messages and you're going to see how Jesus and Satan are being invoked, literally invoked, in text message version format as a justification for ending the marriage on religious grounds. Conveniently, it also ends all financial obligations. And you're also going to see in these text messages scenes in which Mr. Piner is literally bragging about what a, quote, insane amount of money he makes, about what an insane amount of money he got to spend in 2021 and 22. And yet sometimes he denies Mr. Kristafer like a $20 meal because, it's not approved by him. So I do agree with the plaintiff and the petitioner that this marriage should be ended on fair and just terms. And so for that reason, we're asking for very simple things. Disposition of the dog, disposition of Mr. Terry's personal belongings, which he hasn't seen since he was placed in jail. And there's a lot of those personal properties. To delineate the marital estate, you know, what is it, like what belongs in that marital estate, how it should be equitably divided between the two. There's a Toyota Prius that's gonna be discussed. There's going to be a Z350 Nissan that's going to be discussed. There may be some debts that are discussed as well. And so all of those things are things that you're gonna hear about that may be part of the marital estate, maybe separate property, maybe communal matrimonial property. And you're gonna sort of decide exactly, you know, what would be a fair and just determination of all of that. And, okay, so, one last thing. So there's been some insinuations that there has been physical violence, as part of this marriage. Now, again, while you're listening to all these allegations, I just want you to focus very clearly on the consistency of the narrative throughout. Because we have 8 years to compare like these stories against. Look at the consistency. Has this been mentioned before? Or was it just mentioned in 2026 in the middle of a divorce litigation? And I want you to look at all those power dynamics between the plaintiff and the defendant, and I want you to sort of come to a conclusion of what is really going on here. And all of you, I can tell, are extremely competent, extremely capable, and extremely great at taking the time to serve as members of the jury for the next couple of hours. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Polanco. We are ready for first witness on petitioner's behalf. Ms. Yarber?
I'd like to call my client, David Pine.
All right, Mr. Piner, if you come on up to the witness stand, but before you take a seat, turn and face Deputy Gordon, who's going to swear you in.
They got kicked out.
I've got Polanco in, the screen. Okay, yes, I'll do that in just a second.
Brian, you swear affirm the testimony you will give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but truth, every God? Yes, sir. Lawyer, I'll see.
The chair doesn't have wheels. That's so people don't roll off to their death. So you got to sort of scooch it around.
State is what you have to work. David Piner, David Piner.
Mr. Piner, where do you currently reside?
In a one-bedroom apartment in Alpharetta.
How long have you lived there?
Since November of last year about, so I would say about 8 months.
Where were you residing prior to that?
At an apartment in Alpharetta off of Old Milton at 2207 Summerwood Lane.
Were you residing at that previous apartment with the opposing party?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How old are you?
41.
Okay. And Mr. Piner, what's your current occupation?
Senior marketing technologist for a company called Virtual Marketing LLC, doing business as Fusion 92.
Okay. Is he going too fast for y'all? Or are y'all okay? Okay. If y'all need him to slow it down, and I'll tell him. Okay. Mr. Piner, how long have you worked there?
So I've worked at that company since, I believe, last year, so about a year and a couple of months. It was a transfer from a company called Fiserv. So I started work at Fiserv in September of 2016, but I had moved to this company through a transfer process from a full-time employee of Fiserv to a consultant at this consulting firm.
Okay. And can you describe to the court and the jurors the type of work that you do at your job?
So I manage B to B to C. So that's business to consumer marketing emails on behalf of over 500 financial institutions that are customers of Fiserv. And so as customers of Fiserv, they have clients. So if you think of Fiserv as a financial technology company, they have clients that purchase products from them. And then they have customers themselves. So your bank or credit union will have customers. And then what we do is on behalf of our client, which is them, and it's kind of confusing. I understand that, but essentially we send emails for someone, say like Georgia-owned credit union, right? We'll send that email as if it's Georgia-owned credit union or Truist or Bank of America, et cetera. And then in that process, it'll look like it came from them, but we'll be the ones to actually execute on that email for them because of our products. Like we do Zelle, we do like Transfer Now, which is a way you can move money between your own banks, and like credit cards and those kind of things.
Mr. Piner, do you have any secondary degrees or college degrees, anything like that?
No, ma'am. I
Okay.
finished 8th grade.
Okay. Are you self-trained in terms of learning how to do your profession?
Yes, ma'am. No
Okay.
college education.
Have you ever been married before this marriage?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And do you have any children from this relationship or any prior?
No, ma'am.
All right. Now, can you tell the court and the jury when you first met the opposing party, Mr. Terry?
Sometime in 2010.
Where were you all both living at that time?
He was living with his father in Arkansas, and I was living with my girlfriend in Indiana.
Okay. And briefly, how did you all meet?
We were on this video game called Second Life, and then also another video game called World of Warcraft, and we met on the video game.
Were you all online friends?
Yeah, we were online friends.
Okay. And at what point would you say, I know you all met in 2010, at what point would you say that you all maybe started dating?
I don't know how to answer that question because we never really traditionally dated. We were more friends and roommates throughout the time that we were together.
Okay, so at what point did you all decide to move in together and begin the roommate arrangement?
So he actually like visited us sometime in July of 2010, me and my girlfriend and her great grandmother. And then he sort of refused to go home. And then at that point, he sort of just lived with us from that point. And then I ended up living with his grandmother for a while. I rented a room from her. And then
Was that in Indiana also, or you were not in Indiana at that point?
No, that was in Statesboro, Georgia. We moved to Statesboro from Indiana and rented a room from his grandmother.
Well, I believe the court was inquiring about
Oh.
when he moved in with you and your girlfriend.
No,
That was in-
I was inquiring about the
Okay.
grandmother. 'Cause
Okay.
you said eventually you were renting a room from Mr. Terry's grandmother. I thought, well, that's a coincidence that that's in Indiana, but actually you and Mr. Terry, without your girlfriend,
Yeah.
moved from Indiana to Statesboro, Georgia.
Yes.
And you and he, Mr. Terry, had that room in Mr. Terry's grandmother's house.
Well, he had his own room and I rented my room.
Got it. So you guys had separate rooms
Yeah.
at Mr. Terry's grandmother's house in Statesboro, Georgia, not Indiana, where the two of you plus your girlfriend had been.
Right.
What year did you start renting the room at his grandmother's house in Statesboro?
2011
Okay. And how long did you all reside there?
until 2014. So I'd say about 3 years.
Were you paying the grandmother the entire time to stay there?
She let me stay there like a couple of months for free because I had some debt and I was trying to pay it back, but then they eventually wanted, some rent money.
Okay. What were you doing at that time to earn money?
So I was actually, and this is real, video game journalist. So what I did was there's this website called 10 Ton Hammer, and it basically published articles and guides about multiplayer online games. So you think about like EverQuest to World of Warcraft, Star Wars, The Old Republic, those kind of things. And so I actually got really lucky early on in my life and was able to get this job online writing about video games. So I actually wrote and managed other people who wrote about video games. And it was a 1099 sort of payment structure. So you had to do your own self-employment taxes. But I did that job for about 11 years.
What was the opposing party doing for work while you all both resided at his grandmother's house in Statesboro?
His grandmother took care of him at the time. He didn't have a job.
Okay. At what point did you all get engaged? Can you describe that to the court? To
As
the
far as
judge?
I'm aware, we never got engaged.
Okay, so how did it come about that you all got married and there was a marriage license?
So he had SSI and there was a redetermination occurring. And then the tax law was changing about dependents. So we made the decision to get married so that he could get benefits because he would lose his Medicaid if he lost his SSI. So we got married so that he would get benefits from my employer so that he wouldn't lose his health insurance.
Did you all go to the courthouse to get married?
It was, I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's the annex building, the North Fulton Annex building. I don't know if that's considered a courthouse.
Quasi courthouse.
Yeah, it's the annex building in, North Fulton.
The fake courthouse?
Yeah,
Okay. And what year was that?
2018.
In 2018, where did you all move to?
In 2018, we were living in that apartment in Alpharetta. So that was the Summerwood Lane.
Okay, so you moved from his grandmother's house in Statesboro to an apartment in Alpharetta, correct?
Yes, ma'am, in
How-
2016.
Okay. How would you describe your marriage to Mr. Terry kind of overall?
That's a question. I really don't know how to answer that. Difficult? Is that an answer?
That is an answer.
It was a very difficult thing because money was very, very difficult to manage in the relationship.
What were your daily routines like as a couple?
So it depended on how my work worked out. So if I was working from home, then I'd get up in the morning, get on my laptop, and then work until I was done, and then usually go cook dinner or whatever. If I had to work in the office, I'd have to get up, get dressed, drive in the office, then come home, and then fix dinner and all that good stuff. But generally it was work a job, and then as soon as I get off, so I have to work like basically 9-hour days. I'd just come home, play some video games or watch TV or whatever, and then go to bed.
How did you and Mr. Terry spend your free time together?
We often didn't spend free time together a lot. It really depended on what year or phase the relationship was. He spent a lot of time out of the house, with other his friends that he met and other people he was dating and whatnot. And then I would, basically stay home most of the time because I'd work and be tired and that kind of thing. When we did spend time together, it was usually we'd play like video games together, like World of Warcraft or League of Legends or something. But outside of that, we didn't really do much together.
Okay, so you stated that he would spend a lot of time hanging out with his friends and other people that he was dating.
Yeah.
Are you referring to dating as in romantic relationships?
Generally, yeah. I mean, he had a lot of different partners, and he had, he used a Grinder app a lot. So he'd go meet what he called friends on the Grinder app. I would call them boyfriends because, like they were in love with one another and that kind of thing. He would say it was friends, and I'll respect that. I can understand he has different views on things, but he'd go out and, hang out with, these sexual partners of his.
Okay, for the ones that may not be aware, may you briefly explain to the court and the jury what the Grinder app is?
So Grindr is an app for men that are interested in other men to hook up with. I consider it a hookup app for men to have sex with other men. He described that as him making friends with other people, but sex was just somehow included in that friendship. My personal view of the app, though, is it's a hookup app. It's so, you find sexual partners, and generally some people see it as a dating app. So sometimes it's dating, sometimes it's like, just hooking up and that kind of thing.
Did you and Mr. Terry ever have a discussion about being exclusive to one another during your marriage?
He had issues if I were to go to date anyone because he felt that since I was asexual and that I really didn't like dating people, that it was insulting to him that I would go and date anybody, which is kind of fair because I'm like aromantic or asexual, so I'm not interested in that. And then as far as he was concerned, he could go do whatever he wanted to do, and anything to the contrary in his mind was control. And to some extent, I would agree with him. I would tell him that that's fine. I mean, you can't tell someone what they can go do or who they have sex with.
Understood. How would you state, Mr. Piner, that you all divided household responsibilities during the marriage?
I don't know how we would divide those responsibilities because we never really had conversations about that. And if it was brought up, it would become an argument. Because like he would want, if I wanted him to clean, he would want money for it. Or if I wanted him to do something, he would want to exchange that for money or something else like that. So it was either, I took care of it or I'd have to have a discussion with him that was generally not comfortable for me to have. So we really never officially like divided this is that. I did most of the cooking when the kitchen was usable in the apartment. For the periods the kitchen wasn't usable, we would just get to-go food. And then, he'd clean up, cans and stuff, and I'd clean up cans and stuff as well. And then, he would do a lot of the dog walking, because the dog had, he spent a lot of the time at home. He didn't have a job or anything, so he spent a lot laying on the floor holding on to the dog. And so the dog naturally was just, fine with him being walked by him. So he'd walk the dog a lot. I was also at work or working, so I didn't have a lot of time to do that.
When you say the kitchen was usable or not usable, what happened with the kitchen to make it not usable?
So there was a lot of hoarding going on in our home. And I would define hoarding as when the piles of stuff and clothes are yay high or higher. And so the kitchen oftentimes would get to a point where there was just to-go boxes and trash bags everywhere. And then at that point, you kind of don't want to cook in something like that, right? And I'm a bigger dude too. So unlike him, I can't scoot around all of this small walkway to go and do stuff like that. You know what I mean? So when the kitchen was just inaccessible, there was just no way to cook. And the only way to get food would be to eat out.
So it wasn't that things were broken in the kitchen. It was that, I think you just used the word inaccessible. That
Right.
meant we can't use the kitchen. I can't get in there. You want me to do the cooking unless you're going to airdrop me in there. I can't use it.
Right, yes, sir. And
Okay.
then, the stove's got stuff piled on it. You physically can't use the stove without clearing it off and.
Or setting the house on fire.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So is it your testimony, Mr. Piner, that the opposing party basically did not help you clean unless you paid him some incentive for it?
Right, and even then, oftentimes he still wouldn't clean. And I don't want to fuss on that subject too long, but yeah, it was more of like I need to be incentivized to go clean. Or he also would make an argument that he needed Adderall to go clean. And I needed to go help him get a prescription for Adderall. And then I'm not a doctor, so I can't help with that. But that was what he would share with me.
I would like to show the court and the jury what we have, what is going to be marked as Petitioner's Exhibit 2. It's a compilation of photographs of the home. I have shared a physical copy with counsel before placing it on the screen if there are any objections.
Okay, so we're talking petitioners 2. That's the exhibit number. Mr. Polanco, you've got a copy of it. Any objection to petitioners 2?
No, but what was petitioners 1?
There isn't yet.
It's not a-
So we're starting with 2. There may be 1, there may not. There's no requirement, but so I will admit petitioners 2. Now that it's admitted, you're free to publish it.
Okay. Mr. Piner, I'm going to place images on the screen via Zoom, also for you all, the jury, to get an idea of what we're talking about. And I'm going to scroll through the photos and I'd like you to just kind of narrate to the jury what it is that they're seeing on the screen, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can everyone, yeah, I see y'all can see it. Mr. Pine, I'm gonna scroll through, but I want you to kind of narrate to the jury what it is that they're seeing as I go down, okay?
All right. Do I start with this one?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just gonna keep going.
Okay, so after the the temporary protective order was served. The apartment had failed a fire inspection, which if you fail a fire inspection, that's leading to eviction, right? So we had to get some of the stuff out of the apartment. And so that's a 10 by 10 storage unit full of Mr. Terry's stuff. It's a bunch of stuff he bought at Goodwill, or he got these lots on Mercari, or any of these shopping apps and eBay. So we stuffed it full. It's very full of the stuff that we were able to pull and extract from the apartment.
Now, what about the?
Can you hit the little arrow that's a circle, that should rotate things over in the lower right-hand corner? Yeah, there we go. Okay, thanks.
So this is after we went in and we hired the biohazard cleaners to clean everything out of the apartment. Plus we had to, me and some friends, had to come through and clean stuff out. So we cleared the whole apartment out to move out so that we wouldn't get stuck with like an unpayable bill, because they charge like 25 or 50 bucks a bag of trash. So we went through the apartment. You can see all the stains are basically where the walk-in paths were, but that was like the closets. That was some of the stains that were on the floor. So he would often pour trash on me. And so that specific spot right there is stained from like the wet stuff that would come down from whenever he'd pour trash on me. That was the secondary bathroom. That was the bathtub in the secondary bathroom. This bathtub really wasn't usable. It was a little bit too nasty. That was the living room. That was the main bathroom. So that was the bathroom me and him both took showers in. That was the second bedroom. That was the second bedroom. That was the utility room. So I cleared everything out of the utility room. I got everything out of it. This washing machine. That was the kitchen and the stove. That's more of the living room. So if you could stop at that photo up there real quick, if you look down here, you can see a literal path where the stuff was sitting, and those dark marks is where like you could walk, right? So that's where the dog and me and him would walk through, but those lighter areas is where stuff was at.
So these photos basically are the compilation of after you've cleared it out without the help of the opposing party, correct?
I did all that myself with Jamie and then someone named Matt or Joseph Foley. He flew in from Chicago to help some.
Okay, I'd like to now introduce what is we're going to call Petitioner's Exhibit 3 moving forward, which is going to be the biohazard photos. I've provided a copy to council.
No objection.
Which number?
P3, Judge.
3. Okay, it's admitted.
I'm going to share my screen again, Mr. Piner. Okay, I'm going to show you a compilation of photos just like the last, but can you start with this one?
Yeah, that's from him slamming the door really, really hard against the wall and the doorknob going through the door, the wall itself. This was a bookcase. That was the kitchen. This is an example of the kitchen being
Zoom out. So.
Not really usable very much because there's just so much trash everywhere. This was taken around when the TPO was served. And
can you signify to the court the month and year that this was?
July of 2025.
Okay, let's keep going.
So there's the stove, and then you can't get to the refrigerator because there's all those boxes and stuff everywhere. There were a lot of Starbucks cups everywhere. There was a lot of Starbucks cups in that house. That's where he was residing most of the day. He would go and dance in the kitchen. So that's his bong, along with more of his Starbucks cups in the general area which he normally hung out in. That was the living room. That was the sofa. That's his stuff, mostly all on top of the sofa. It was just a bunch of clothes, shirts, pants. Anything that wasn't soaked in urine or stained or had a really strong scent of urine was what we were able to transport to that storage unit.
Now, why would anything be soaked in urine?
Well, one was the dog. It would urinate on things. And then two, I would make allegations that he also urinated on things as well.
Okay.
That was the living room itself, and that was just the sofa. That was where he would keep, packages would come in, or he'd go to Goodwill or whatever, and he'd buy something and then he'd put it in this pile. Now, we had a storage unit back then, it was a much smaller one. If I took anything from the pile and moved it to storage, the pile would just get bigger somehow. So generally speaking, I'd leave that pile alone. This is a door. So one day he got into an argument with me and he ripped that door off of its handles. Now, doors are not actually in these apartment buildings full wooden doors. So they're actually made of and I got to see it firsthand when he ripped it off the wall and it fell apart. But they're a thin sheet of wood, and some wood boards between it. After he had ripped this door off, we got kind of worried about getting evicted from it. So he got some wood glue and we got some clamps and put the door back together.
Is this the hole in the wall that we previously showed to the jury?
Yeah, I believe so. Well, actually, is that the one behind the bed where he threw something? Is that one looks like the one that was behind the bed where he had thrown something one day and it put a hole in the wall?
Okay. So there were multiple holes in the walls.
There were a lot of holes in the wall. I plastered over them though. That was just more of the kitchen, the countertop. And that's the kitchen. That's his bong along with, his soda cans, plates and stuff. Never got to really use that toaster oven because it's inaccessible to me. But yeah, that's mostly where he hung out at. After the apartment failed that fire inspection, we had to get the apartment manager was very clear. We had to have a walking path that was big enough for a person to walk through all the major areas of the home. So me, Jamie, and eventually Joseph Foley, who flew in from Chicago, worked to put things in contractor bags to go put them up in the outside storage unit so we could get that walking path clear to buy some more time before they'd evict us. So this is as I was making progress on cleaning it out. So this is after, I want to say about a month of cleaning. We were able to get all of the stuff, started bagging it up and everything. The funny thing about this photo is that this wasn't even the start. You would think this looks nice, but there's so much more trash. Because when the biohazard people came and to move the sofas and the furniture and a bunch of other stuff that you didn't want to kind of touch. Underneath that sofa, there was a lot more trash, but this is just making progress. So this is us getting the pile of stuff off the sofa. You can start seeing the sofa again. You could start seeing his computer area again. We were able to kind of get through and over there. This is the back bedroom, the second bedroom. So this isn't the one we slept in. Well, he actually slept in this bedroom, but he slept in the floor for some reason, which it's another discussion for another day. That's the closet with his stuff. That's the bed. And you can see the urine stains on the bed and then, just trash and stuff. A lot of the possessions or items in the house were from his mother who had passed. So he had moved a bunch of that stuff in there as well. A lot of that got stored beside the bed. So that's the dog's bed right there. It's inside of that little container house thing. And then just more of his stuff and then those containers that he had his stuff in. Oh yeah, that's the bed. Yeah, I slept in that bed. Oh, Jesus Christ almighty. That's the back bedroom. That's my computer chair. And then when we had it a little bit cleaner during the pandemic, it wasn't 100% always like this. It would ebb and flow. So it'd get really messed up and then it would get cleaned out and it'd get really messed up. But if you go back to that other photo, you'll see these display racks in the back. He got those from Stein Mart during the pandemic. And so, like, you know, he hung his stuff up there, but then over time, more stuff would come in the house, and you couldn't even get back there to that kind of stuff. That was the bathroom and the second bathroom. That was the master bedroom closet, with his stuff in it. There's Sozo.
Is this a dog in question?
Yes, ma'am, that's the
Okay.
dog in question. That's him sitting on the sofa after we cleaned it out a bit. I took this with the Ring camera. It has
Let
the,
me flip it, Judge.
yeah, it has the date on it. But that was on 8/15, and that's about how much progress we had. Now, I do want to say that me personally and many other people had told me it smelled of urine. A lot of people use the word ammonia. I'm not a chemist, so I can't stand behind the word ammonia, but it smelled of urine. So we had to keep candles lit anytime someone came over to help clean because it just was getting really bad. I eventually had to get a respirator to go in there and work because, you know, I'd start coughing or it was really hard to breathe while in that apartment.
Mr. Piner, how much did it cost to clean all of that up?
So I paid the biohazard company. I had to call a lot of them because it was freaking me out because they were giving me some crazy prices. I believe one of the quotes were approximately like $5,800 for them to come in and help clean. But I found a place that was willing to work with me for $1,600 to do a limited scope amount of cleaning. So mostly the sold things, the things that had to go and be like, you know, bagged up and took into the biohazard place and all that. They came and they were charged me $1,600, but then I had to pay for contractor bags. I had to pay for disposal of things. I had to pay to move his stuff around. I can't give you an approximate number for that, but it was I would say at least $1,500 to $2,000 in additional costs just in like the respirator and the bags, and transport and renting because you can't just take bags and like I bought about 300 contractor bags. You can't just take them to your apartment's trash receptacle and throw them in there. You got to take them to the dump. So there's a lot of just transport and moving stuff.
Did the opposing party help in any way with the cleaning or the cost associated with that?
No.
Okay. And while you were at work during the day, you stated that he was with his friends. Do you know of him doing anything else during the day?
So the most common activities I knew that he would do was either lay in the back bedroom in the floor on top of a bunch of squishmallows, those like really fluffy, like squishy things, or on top of a blanket, and he'd lay there with the dog for a while. If he wasn't doing that, he was dancing in the kitchen, listening to music. Generally like, you know, after smoking weed or whatever he did. Or he'd be on his computer playing video games. And that's the kind of things he was doing while he was at home. And then whenever he left the home, he was either going to church or he was going and hanging out with one of his friends from Grindr.
Okay. Did the opposing party ever express any interest in getting a job?
He would talk constantly about getting a job because that was always one of the things that me and him would have arguments and discussions about. Because it was a very sensitive topic with him. Because he would say that he'd want a job, but he would say that I had to get him the job in order for him to get a job, and that I helped my other friends get jobs, which I'm still not sure about what that meant. But that's what he would share with me. And I would try to explain to him that to get a job, you have to go apply for a job, which requires filling out an application. But then he would tell me that I'd have to fill out the application for him to get a job. Now, he did sometimes do stuff like door dashing. You know, sometimes he'd come home with money. I don't know where he'd get any money from, but he'd come home with cash. He, you know, aspirationally talked about it. He converted to a Christian after his mother passed. And, you know, he kind of redefined our relationship, like, because, you know, as Christians, you really can't have a same-sex relationship. So it was kind of difficult to navigate the religious aspects of everything at that point. But a lot of it was like his church wanted him to get a job. So they would constantly be pressuring him to sort of like do stuff. He would meet with his church pastor a lot, Tyler or Taylor, and they would try to work on getting him a job. But in general, it was always an aspirational thing about him working and sort of like a hopeful thing. Like If you do this, I will go get a job. If you do this, I'll get a job. Or I need this to get a job. Like I need Adderall to get a job, or I need certain amount of money to get a job, or you need to move to another apartment to get a job, or you need to make more money and I'll get a job. Which were a lot of the conflicts and arguments that we had. But in general, I would say that in my opinion, my aspirations for him was financial independence because the way we were living was not reasonable for any adult to agree to. And financial independence changes the relationship from, well, if you don't take care of me, I want to just go out and be homeless or whatever. And by the way, you're never going to let it get away from me or whatever. It changes it from that to we choose to live in the same house together, and we both have the financial independence to make this decision to say we want to live here together. And for him, it was sort of like difficult to get that sort of understanding. It's very difficult to explain.
So, Mr. Piner, do you and the opposing party, have you ever had joint bank accounts?
We did have joint bank accounts, but I never put my paycheck in it. It was, the first one was made when we lived in Statesboro because, you know, his grandmother and his family also wanted him to get a
Yeah,
job.
just what year was it?
I want to say about, I can't give a really strong date on when that bank account was open, but I'd say around 2012 or 2013.
Did you deposit money into that account?
Not regularly, no.
Okay. At this current juncture, do you all have any joint accounts?
We have two joint accounts. One's at Bank of America and the other one's at Truist, but they've never really had any money in them. It just sort of existed.
So are both of them pretty much minimal funds? They don't have a balance in it, correct?
No, they don't have a balance.
Okay. He never paid any bills at the apartment in Alpharetta, correct?
When he had Social Security, he would pay into the bills. He'd pay like about $500, $600 a month towards things. Of course, that would come back out over time. I'd have to give him money to support him. But when he had disability, he would pay into things. But in general, he wouldn't, after he lost his disability, I think it was in 22 or 23, he wasn't contributing anything to the bills.
Okay. Are you aware of any debts that he has incurred while you all have been married?
Oh Lord, this gets into something crazy. So I know he had a Macy's card. And then he did a lot of buy now, pay later things. So this would be like, I need $20 or I need $30. And that's all this thing's gonna cost. And I'm not gonna buy anything else. You just gotta give me $20. Just give me $20. But it was actually a pay in for $20, which meant you had to make 4 payments of $20. So it was actually like an $80 thing. I know he had Sezzle, Afterpay, Zip Pay. I don't think he had a Firm, but I know that he had definitely Afterpay, Sezzle, and all of those different kind of apps. Any of the different buy now, pay later apps. He had a lot of those.
All right. Does any of that have your name tied to it in any way?
He opened one in my name. I think it was I think he opened an Afterpay in my name.
Okay. Do you know what the current status of that is?
No, they haven't really come after me, so I don't really know.
Okay. Did he ask you before opening the Afterpay in your name?
No,
How did you find out about it?
he told me.
Now let's talk about the debts that you have. What debts would you say that you have currently?
I have a lot of debt because I've been sued a lot lately for it. I had a couple of lawsuits in the last year where the debts occurred. So there's
Meaning creditors are coming after you, not that you were sued by someone for being in a car accident and you owe them $1 million.
No, it was actually it was installment loans. So I did debt consolidation loans to pay the credit cards off. But then that's a really bad idea because then the credit cards get maxed back out again. And then if you take out another debt consolidation loan, the credit cards get maxed out again. So now you have these installment loans for, you know, several $1,000s plus the original credit cards that are also now maxed out. So I have a lot of consumer debt. and a lot of installment loan type debt, from like Upstart and, these like installment loan companies. And in the past year, those installment loan companies have begun suing me, and I've had to pay a lawyer to defend myself against it to avoid garnishment, because I do work in financial services and my credit is one of the key things that I need to keep in some kind of good quality to keep my job. It's not been doing well lately because there's just been so much debt. But, essentially, my aspirations is after this divorce, I'll have enough income to start working on paying a lot of these balances down.
Okay.
Are the debts you just described, Upstart and these other things, are those debts that you accrued because you also buy things, or are you attributing those debts to Mr. Terry?
I would say about 20 to 25% of the debt may come from my own purchases or just bill payments or payments for the home. The rest of it would have been consumer items like clothing, the Apple Pay for firm buy it now stuff, or him purchasing stuff off of Mercari. A lot of it's that stuff that's in that storage unit or the stuff he took with him when the temporary protective order was served.
But somehow that debt is in your name.
Right.
Okay.
And Mr. Piner, what is your gross annual income with your position?
It's $123,000 approximately a year.
I'd like to introduce, I'm going to show on the screen what's marked as Petitioner's Exhibit 15, which is going to be the financial affidavit. It's also filed with the court, but I want to put it on the screen so we can go through some of your debts a little bit, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Any objection to petitioner's 15, Mr. Polanco?
No.
Okay, it's admitted.
Okay. So this is your financial affidavit that you completed for the court, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to scroll down until I get to the part that kind of identifies the debt that you have. So you can explain that to the court.
Yes,
All
I'm
right,
good.
so here we are, payment to creditors.
Yep.
Let me pause you all for a sec. I can't see the big screens, so get it situated how you want it. I just want to make sure jurors all the way back can see what's on the screen. And we can do two things. One, I can dim the lights a little if it's not bright enough. And then two, we can magnify it more. It's plenty big on my screen, but look how close I am to my screen. So I don't want to assume you all can see it. Our 6 jurors furthest away, can you all see? I mean, if there's an important number, Ms. Yarber's going to make sure you can see it and hear about it, but in general, you can see what's on the screen? Yes, I'm not seeing anyone say no. Great, okay.
All right, Mr. Piner, so in this section that says to whom, are all of these basically credit cards or what have you that are in your name?
So Ally Bank is a car loan, and that's on the Prius Prime.
The 12,000 number here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So that's the car vehicle, and then Koval Firm is a debt defense attorney. So you owe the debt defense attorney a debt to pay him back for, defending you against the other debt. So you're trading one debt for another debt, but it's a lesser amount of debt than the other debt that you originally took home.
Okay. And if we go down, you've listed here that you have about $2,250 in your retirement or in your 401k. And no other retirement accounts or investment accounts, correct?
No, ma'am.
How do you have $4 in a stock? You own $4 of some stock, or that's the account balance?
I think that's the account balance.
Okay.
I can't, maybe there's a penny stock in it or something.
Okay.
Now explain to the court about your different checking accounts that you have listed here.
Discover Bank is the primary checking account that I use.
Is that the one that your paycheck goes into?
That's the one. Well, my paycheck goes into a couple, and because I had to rotate around, because he'd have my cards and he'd lose them or whatever. So it's always smart to just move my money and keep it in like a couple of different bank accounts.
You say that did you mean the opposing party?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But the Discover Bank account's been the one for the last several years that my check is mostly going to.
And I just want to highlight here, you stated that you and the opposing party did have a Truist account and a Bank of America account. with minimal balances. Is this the balances the last time you checked on those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and about how recently did you check?
The day that I filed this affidavit, I pulled down all the statements and I redid all the numbers off of the statements.
Okay. Does on or around July 31st sound correct to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I want to get into the vehicle, the 2017 Toyota Prius. Is this your primary vehicle?
That's the primary vehicle that I drive. Yes, ma'am.
Do you all have any other vehicles?
At this moment, we do not.
Okay. Is that vehicle solely in your name?
It's solely in my name.
Has, well, throughout you all's marriage, has this been your primary vehicle, basically?
We shared the Prius, because the Nissan 370Z wasn't really driven. That was sort of, it had really low miles and only he really could drive the vehicle. I didn't want to drive it. It had straight pipes and, like all this like racing stuff on it. It was really scary to drive. But we mostly drove the Prius together.
Okay. Did, Mr. Terry ever make any payments to the Prius?
No.
Okay. Are you asking that the, court and the jury allows you to keep the Toyota Prius?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's something to get to work with.
Now, what about the Nissan that you mentioned? What's the status of that car?
That vehicle was repossessed by Pentagon Federal Credit Union. It was always late, but whenever the temporary protective order was served, he left the home with the Nissan 370Z. In the temporary protective order, both the ex parte and the 12-month protective order, the Nissan 370Z was not included so that he would have a vehicle and, you know, it was his vehicle and he could move on off with it and all that. It had a loan on it. That loan was always about 30 to 60 days. I wouldn't say always, because there might have been some points that you had to pay the car loan up, but it generally was 30 to 60 or 90 days late. So when it got to the impound lot, it was totaled. The airbags had gone off, and it was not in a movable state. So since I couldn't get it out of impound and I had no information to give the insurance company to assist with the vehicle at the time, the lien holder took the vehicle out of impound and repossessed it, and then they sold the vehicle.
So did the vehicle get impounded while it was with Mr. Terry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Whose name was on that vehicle?
It was in his name, and then I was a co-signer.
Okay, so the vehicle was meant for him.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any outstanding debt or anything associated to you pertaining to the Nissan?
At the moment, I worked with the Pentagon Federal Credit Union, and they were able to sell the vehicle for like $500 more than it was the lien plus the impound fees were. So when it was disposed of, or just, I don't know, it's DISPOSED. Is that disposed of? I don't know if that's-
Something happened to it. It's
Something
gone
happened.
and they got some money for it.
They got some money for it. There wasn't a deficiency balance left. So the vehicle was cleared out, the lien was cleared out. They'd given back like $3,000, and then I believe something like approximately like $2,500 they took back. I don't have the statement, so I don't know the numbers directly off my top of my head, but it was something like that. I know that $500 was the total amount left after the vehicle was all said and done with. And then Geico had paid Pentagon Federal Credit Union back for the vehicle because it had been totaled.
Mr. Piner, I want to circle back because I didn't introduce an exhibit, but you stated earlier that you ended up paying about $1,600 for the biohazard cleaning
Yes, ma'am.
for the home. I just want to introduce this exhibit. It's Petitioner's Exhibit 5. The receipt for the cleaning. Does council have an objection?
No.
Okay.
It's admitted.
And I'm just going to share my screen, Mr. Piner, to confirm that is the receipt that I just entered, and also to show the jury, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is this the biohazard cleaning receipt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you ended up paying $1,648 for the help with cleaning that apartment and getting it up to standard, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I want to move, you've kind of been hinting at it during your testimony, but I want to move to the abuse and allegations of criminal conduct during you all's marriage. So let's just start right at the top. Did Mr. Terry ever physically harm you during the marriage?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did the first incident of physical abuse occur?
Are you speaking in the marriage or in overall the relationship?
Just the marriage.
Just the marriage? I'd have to say shortly after we signed the paperwork, about a month or two.
Okay. What was happening during these incidents? Were you all arguing, or what did that look like?
Generally, it was anytime that I said that we needed to break up or we need to like not live together and he needs to move out. Anytime I would introduce the concept of what do you need to move forward with your life, he would inform me that we were not going to ever split up and I was going to be taking care of him for the rest of my life. And if I tried to establish any form of boundary in those conversations, he would escalate. And generally, most times in these arguments, he would just start screaming very loudly, which would make me kind of shut down, become small. And I know I'm a bigger person, so that concept of becoming small might be hard to understand, but it's generally just sitting there patiently and being quiet while he raised his voice at me and let him know his displeasures with me. But in instances in which I ever did it, try to establish any form of boundaries with him, he would get violent. And in the 2019, one of those instances, the first one I'm able to recollect today, and these are very difficult for me to speak about, was him taking a bottle of Febreze and spraying it in my face. And then when I would go in the bathroom and shower off the Febreze, which was burning my eyes and my face, he would sit there and tell me that I'm overreacting, that Febreze makes things smell better, and I need to stop. I'm hurting him. I'm hurting him because I'm cleaning it out of my eyes. And I am trying to not, and when you're in these like sort of panic modes, right? When you're dealing with this, you're like, I don't want to lose my vision because you don't know what's in Febreze, right? And your eyes are burning. But he's telling me that I'm overreacting, that Febreze is harmless, and that whatever. And then so he used that from then forward to start doing other things. So the next time of violence that I can recollect here on the stand, and again, this is very difficult, is that he took a water bottle and he struck me here, like right here in my ribs with that water bottle several times. And then when I as you would when anyone would strike you with something, curl up in pain, he would start screaming at me that it's just water and water can't hurt you. There's no chemicals in a water bottle. It's just water. Now, my problem with his argument there was that a water bottle is a physical item that's full of water, and it's a strong physical item. And he had bruised my rib, and he wouldn't let me. Of course, I couldn't go to the doctor about it. I couldn't call the police because anytime I'd say I want to call the police, he'd take my phone from me. But I couldn't sleep on my side, and I normally slept on this side, and this is the side he hit me on. So I'd had to sleep on this side, and for about a month or two after that, it was very hard for me to sleep because I couldn't sleep because he hit me in the ribs with a water bottle.
So, Mr. Piner, how often would you say the physical abuse occurred?
It was infrequent. I wouldn't say there was any regular cadence of it, but
Okay.
I would do my best to be quiet because he would make it very clear that any boundary setting with him could escalate into physical violence that would be more permanent than anybody would ever want.
I would like to put on the screen and show the court and the jury, what is marked as Petitioner's Exhibit 1. It is a compilation of photos that Mr. Piner has taken regarding any injuries pertaining to physical abuse from Mr. Terry. I have showed this to opposing counsel.
Okay. Any objection to the admission and publication of petitioners 1?
No.
They're admitted. You can post.
Mr. Piner, I'm going to go through these images, and I would like for you to briefly describe them to the jury so that they know what they're looking at, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's start with this one.
Yeah, so that was in 2015, he punched me in the eye, and that was a black eye that I'd received from him. That was him strangling. So breath control was a big, so it wasn't just like physical striking. One of the things that he would do is either put his hands around my neck and choke me until I couldn't breathe, or he would cup his hands around my like mouth and hold my nose like this, and then I couldn't breathe, right? And then he would tell me that if I would do whatever he would want to do, he'd let me breathe again. So in this photo, there was red marks across my neck where he'd held his hands up on my neck and strangled me. This was in 2017 when he had thrown a plate at me. So he was in the back area of the kitchen. We were having a disagreement about breaking up again. And he had taken, he was like, he had a plate, he was, eating his food or whatever he was doing at the time. I'm sorry, it's really hard to remember. I really don't want to look at this photo. But he took the plate and he threw it across the room and it hit me in the arm. And it's another one of those scenarios where if I, try to call the police, he'd take my phone from me. And then that wound itself was really hard because I had to take care of it for myself because he took away my car keys and he wouldn't let me go to the doctor or the hospital or get anything done about that. This was a monitor he had thrown something at because he loved throwing things anytime that he couldn't get his way or anytime his argument would get escalated and I try to raise my voice, he would throw something. This goes the photo you just had up there goes into the drinks. So like in an argument, if he wasn't getting what he would tell me that I needed to say something, and if I refused to say the thing that he wanted me to say, it would range from anything from you need to say that you love me, or you need to tell me that you're going to do this, or you need to do that. He would take any kind of like soda cans and just, and I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'm gonna move my arm really quickly, but he would fling it around like this, and just everything inside of the can would go everywhere, and then he'd finish and pour it on top of me. So that's where those wet marks on the like speaker was.
Okay, and one more photo. This one, can you describe what occurred here?
Yeah, he had scratched my face. I don't remember when this photo was taken, but I do remember the event that he was clawing at my face because we were in the car together and something disagreeable occurred.
Now, you stated that you did not call the police due to the fact that he would take your phone. Why did you not make any subsequent reports?
I was scared too. First of all, he had a lot of drugs, and anytime you think about the police and drugs, you get really concerned. So after an event calms down and you do get your phone back, first off, it's no longer happened, right? So you're kind of calmed down. But then the second thing is, in that home, there's bongs everywhere and weed out everywhere, and you become very concerned and scared of the fact that we're both men. And women who are domestically violated against, and I'm not an expert on this, so I can't say too much about it, but I know how I felt, and I know that women weren't believed. How would the police respond to a man calling the police out there about another man way after an event has occurred?
Was the opposing party, Mr. Terry, ever arrested or charged of any crime related to abuse towards you?
He was arrested in 2014 outside of my therapist's office because he'd slapped me and left a mark on my face and knocked my glasses off and confiscated my eyeglasses. When I went in there to my therapist to talk to them, they had, it was at the Gwinnett County Health Department, the Community Health Center, and they got the police involved. The police, the police officer arrested him for that at that time in 2014.
Let's fast forward to, is that the only time that he's been arrested for any abuse towards you?
That was the only time that he was arrested for abuse towards me in that time frame outside of the aggravated stalking.
Okay. Now, you have an active protective order against Mr. Terry, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When does it expire?
It's currently on Rule 9 site, which is order from the court extended until September 15th.
And that's not with me. It's a different judge you're working with on that.
Yeah, that's the domestic violence court. Judge Manning was the one that signed it, I believe.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to show you, or I'm going to put on the screen a copy of it, but this was marked as Petitioner's Exhibit 11. In that case, the protective order case, are you requesting that the court puts into place actually a 3-year protective order?
I currently am, yes.
Okay. Judge, I'd like to place it on the screen, but I also want to admit into evidence P11. Before I do that, it's the Rule 9 side for the permanent TPO hearing.
So you're going to put on the screen the Rule 9 side, or you're going to put on the screen the current protective order?
Both, but this one is the Rule 9 side.
Okay, remind me then, what exhibit number is the protective order?
The protective order the protective order is 8. I haven't admitted it yet.
Okay,
The one.
I didn't think you had, but then
correct.
you were to 11. So
Yes.
8's the protective order, 11 is Rule 9 side, which basically means scheduling order.
Correct.
In another language.
Is there any objection?
Any objection, Mr. Polanco, to either of those documents?
Yes, well, to the Rule 9 side, I'm not sure what it's trying to show.
What's the relevance of the Rule 9 side?
Judge, when I was going to enter in the TPO order that's in place, it shows that it's already expired because it was July 31st. The Rule 9 side states that it's extended until the September. So I was just trying to make sure that it's shown to the jury that it's actually not expired.
Got it. It shows that the conditions of the
Correct.
TPO
The 9
continue.
side does not. It says that it will. It's a scheduling order. But the TPO conditions on the TPO that I'm entering, it doesn't say that it's going towards September.
No, but the Rule 9 side does.
Correct.
Right. So that's what I was saying. So I see the relevance, Mr. Polanco, now. Normally that language isn't in a scheduling order, but I see why it was here, just to continue the basis to keep the two sides apart. Given that, any other concerns about 8 or 11?
No, it could just be over objection.
Okay, they're both admitted.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just showing the jury. Judge, do I have permission to describe?
Yes.
Jury, okay. Jury, hello. I'm just showing you all what's called a Rule 9 side, but it's just a notice of a hearing. So it states that the protective order that's in place, which I'm about to show you all next, that was entered by the court in August of last year, remains in full force and effect, at least until the 15th of September, when they have another hearing to hear more information about the matter. But it also states that Mr. Piner is seeking here a 3-year permanent protective order. And then to show you all the actual protective order that was just admitted as well. This is the actual filed family violence 12-month protective order. As you all can see, the order technically expired on July 31st, which is just a few days ago, but it was extended until they have another hearing on it. But Mr. Piner, I would like for you to basically tell the court what does the protective order grant you in terms of the behaviors from the opposing party?
The protective order grants me the ability to be safe, and that is defined as he is not allowed within 200 yards of me, which is, to my understanding, 2 football fields. He cannot contact me via text messaging, the internet, or any other means, and that he needs to leave me alone. And that means that he needs to leave me alone, as in leave me alone. He needs to not message my friends, my family, my coworkers. He doesn't need to come to my home. He doesn't need to have any contact with me. He needs to leave me alone.
Okay.
He is, so everyone understands, Mr. Terry, of course, is allowed to be in court now for these proceedings. So no one is violating any order by the fact that we are much less than 200 yards away from each other.
Now, Mr. Piner, the opposing party, you're aware that he's currently facing charges, and on basically house arrest for aggravated stalking?
Yes, 2 charges of aggravated stalking.
Okay, was that towards you or someone else?
That was towards me.
Okay. Do you know what the status, of the aggravated stalking case is?
The aggravated stalking case is currently pending in Fulton County Superior Court.
Okay. Have there been any hearings on the matter or no?
There has been several hearings, though, so in criminal court, there's the preliminary hearings, which is before the indictment is done. They did indict him, and then it moved from indictment. He stayed in jail for roughly 8 months, and then they had a bond hearing, and at that bond hearing, he had to pay some sum of money plus serve a year of house arrest pending his trial.
Do you know if the trial has been set or not yet?
I have not been informed by the victim's advocate that a trial has been set.
How would you say the abuse from Mr. Terry affected your daily life and work performance?
It was very hard. My work performance was difficult because not only was, my physical and, my time was held captive by him, but he would use my work against me as well, doing things such as breaking my work laptop. I was offered a title-only promotion at work, which meant that I would not receive more money. I would just receive an increased title. I was going to decline this promotion because it wasn't in my best interest, as it resulted in more work. But he verbally informed me that I had to take this promotion. And I was setting a very hard boundary because this meant that I'd have to go from 8 to 9 hours a day. I'd have to take on a lot of these other responsibilities, and I would not be paid for it outside of a title. And he took my work bag and he began slamming it back and forth on the floor, causing my work laptop to be busted apart, which then caused me a lot of trouble at work. I also had difficulty in acquiring clothing. If I purchased clothing, he would go and return the clothing, get the cash or the credit for that clothing, and then buy his own clothing. So for most part of my time when I would work in an office, I only had 1 pair of pants, sometimes 2 pairs. So I had to keep going to work with just a couple of pairs of pants and maybe 2 or 3 pairs of shirts, which is quite embarrassing whenever we're going into a corporate office and you're pretty much showing up every day wearing the same things. And without access to the washing machine, because again, I'm a pretty bigger dude, I can't get through a lot of trash or things would be piled up. I often have to go to work in dirty clothes, which is embarrassing, and it makes you feel very bad about yourself.
Mr. Piner, what was the final straw or the final event that led you to file for this divorce last September?
After I had filed for the ex parte TPO, and then several days after, I believe 3 days after, he began violating it by coming onto the premises of the apartment. And then 6 days later, when he entered into my home, which the TPO would not allow him to, thankfully there were other people in the home that were able to protect me at the time. But, he had warrants issued for his arrest, and they had eventually arrested him sometime at the start of August. I had decided, I had a conversation with the police that day that he'd come into the home, and they'd asked me, they said, "Mr. Pine, are you going to file for divorce?" And, I'd been talking about that with an attorney I'd hired for the TPO case. I'd been talking with a domestic violence hotline. I talked about it with the people here at the Safe Families office, and everybody said, you need to think about divorce later, because right now you need to think about becoming safe. Because his words were, if you leave me, either we're both gonna die or one of us is gonna die, but someone's gonna die if you leave us. And after exerting the ex parte PPO and in him coming into that apartment the way that he did, I firmly believed that my life was in danger. And so I put a primary focus on my safety and ensuring that I had that full 12-month protective order, and I was safe. And then once I was safe, then I began working on divorce, which is a very difficult and hard thing to do, because, getting married is as simple as going down to that annex office, but filing for divorce, that TPO lawyer was very expensive. It was $3,000 for one hearing, which meant that, like, to divorce someone, if you hire a lawyer, you're gonna pay for a petition, you've got to pay for all of these events and everything. I had to figure out how to file and all that stuff. So my first primary objective was to become safe. And once I was safe, once he had been arrested, once the TPO was done, that's when I started researching, how do you file for divorce? And I started working on putting together a petition. I wrote it out my own self because I didn't feel like paying a lawyer a couple of grand to put together a petition was a good use of money. So I put together a petition in September. I filed for divorce.
Okay. Now, Mr. Piner, the opposing side, I know that they're going to, or one of their arguments is that you're hiding money somewhere. Are you hiding money anywhere?
To my knowledge, I don't. If I am, I'd love to know where it's at, and if anyone could tell me, I could use it. So if there's money being hidden, I would love to know it. But I don't know of any money that's hidden, because I've lived paycheck to paycheck most of my life. And when you live paycheck to paycheck, I'm not exactly sure where you're going to get any kind of sum of money.
Mr. Piner, I want to introduce and put on the screen P12, P13, and P14. Your investment contributions, your two Merrill Lynch updated statements. I've already showed the statements to counsel. I would like to enter them as an evidence, Judge.
Any objection to petitioners 12 through 14?
No.
All right, they're admitted. We're gonna take a break in a little bit. Are you reaching a transition point between, you should put those up and we'll talk about them. But we've shifted from some of the other topics to now finances. Tell
To be
me.
completely honest, Judge, I probably have like 10 more minutes total.
Total, okay. Are you all good getting through the direct exam? Then we'll take a quick break and figure out what we're gonna do until we break for the day? 10 more minutes-ish? Okay. Clock's ticking. Yeah, here we go.
I'm going to quickly show you 12, 13, and 14. But these are just your financial accounts, Mr. Piner. So if I share screen here, this is your investment account. Your quarterly statement from April this year to June 30th, and it looks like the balance was $2,000. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And let's move on to 13. This is your Merrill portfolio showing that you have $141.30.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to see the as of date, but this was for the end of July. Is that correct?
You actually right-clicked over the date, but yeah, that
Okay.
goes through June 30th, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, June 30th.
So $141 there. And then we have one more. Just your Merrill Lynch IRA account. And it shows here that you have $1,173 in that account. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And those are all of the separate investment accounts or anything like that that you have outside of your checking that was listed on your financial affidavit, correct?
To my knowledge, yes. There's also a Robinhood account with 23 cents in it, but I mean, it's 23 cents.
So, Mr. Piner, I want you to tell the jury what you actually want them to do in this divorce case. So you're asking for the marriage to be dissolved, correct?
Correct. I would
Okay.
like the marriage to be dissolved. I am pleading the grounds. I think Mr. Palenko said it's number 13, irrevocably broken or something along those lines.
Irretrievably broken. but
Irretrievably
yeah.
broken. Because I don't have enough money to figure out all that other stuff. I just want a divorce.
Okay.
I don't need to blame. I don't need justice. I need closure. And that's all I'm asking for from y'all is closure. And that's what I'd like.
And Mr. Piner, what is your request in terms of the jury's decision on Mr. Terry's request for spousal support?
I would request that y'all do not grant him alimony, and that I am able to have my finances under my control and live my own independent life.
Now, what's your request pertaining to the dog?
I would like to keep the dog. I have taken care of the dog. I have nursed the dog back to health. He is living a very happy life. His paw pads are clean. They are pink. There is no dirt on them. He lives in a beautiful, clean home now. And me and him sleep together every night in bed, and he keeps me company, and I love him.
What's his name?
His name is Sozo.
How do you spell that?
Sozo.
Sozo. Origin?
He's a border collie.
No, Sozo, the name.
Oh, I believe it's a biblical term.
Okay.
And you mentioned earlier in your testimony that you have Mr. Terry's belongings in a storage unit that you have been maintaining, correct?
Correct.
Have you been paying for that monthly?
Yes, ma'am. I've been paying around $200 and some for it and waiting on him to pick it up. I don't know why he hasn't got his stuff yet.
Okay. Are you asking that what dates do you pay it every month?
It's like the 15th or 16th of the month.
Okay. Are you asking to not have to pay that for this month and he be ordered to go and pick his belongings up?
Yes, ma'am. That'd be wonderful.
Okay.
Does he need to pick up so I'm understanding your request. Does he need to pick up the belongings or in the alternative, pick up the tab for the storage unit?
I would accept either one, Your Honor.
Okay, you're neutral on that.
I'm
It could
neutral.
be, here are the keys to the storage unit, I'm taking my name off it, versus you got X days to empty it, because then we'll just sell it.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's in a storage unit, so he doesn't have to come to the house. He doesn't need to do a police standby or nothing like that. He can just take his stuff and go.
Are you aware, just personal knowledge of any disabilities that he has that prevents him from working?
At this moment, I am not aware of any.
Okay. And you're also asking that the court and the jury awards you the Prius that's in your name that you pay for and drive every day, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Without that, I don't know how to work a job. So I need a vehicle.
All right, nothing further, and that was less than 10 minutes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our first break since the trial has officially begun. So remember a couple of my admonitions. No outside research. You may well have questions, and if they aren't answered through Mr. Polanco's questioning, if he chooses to ask questions of Mr. Piner, you'll get a chance. So no outside research. Please don't talk about the case yet. You've only heard one part of Mr. Piner's version of events and nothing from Mr. Terry. Hold on one second. No outside research, don't talk about the case. I'm going to try to keep this break kind of short because we're going to end soon. Normally the breaks run as long as you want, usually 10 minutes plus. I may truncate it a little bit so we get in a little bit more before we break for the day. Any logistical questions? You can take your pads with you if you want. You can leave them right where they are. Remember, no assigned seating. We'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah, probably. Question is whether I can start today or if it's worth it. Which I think is what he was saying.
Please, Brittany. You did great, Mr. Pine. You can come.
Oh, okay. Everything this courthouse is so hard.
That's how we build them. So you all will get a break in a minute. I overheard a little bit of the conversation. We've got an hour left. I'd like to use it and not just say, we're going to break. But that means if you're going to do a cross-examination now, which you don't, you could choose to do that in your case in chief. You only start it, you probably won't finish it. But that's the nature of trial flows. Tell me your thoughts.
My initial thoughts is first I want to get a handle on the exhibits because I felt like there were 5 exhibit numbers that I kind of count for. And those are P4, P6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I'll
So,
tell you the ones that I entered. I entered 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 11,
and 12 through 15.
12 to
12,
15,
13,
yeah.
14, 15.
What
Correct.
is 8?
Eight's
was
the
final
TPO.
TPO order.
TPO order?
The actual TPO, yes.
TPO. Okay, so then we skip some numbers. I just wanted to clarify that part.
Yeah.
And then, as far as that question, the original question, yes, honestly, I think it could go either way, so I'll leave it up to the court's, judgment. I can ask a few questions, but it'll roll over regardless into
Okay.
tomorrow, or we can just start a clean break.
We'll do option A. So take a quick break, be back at like 4:16, 4:17 on that clock. And then we'll pivot to cross-examination. I won't expect you to fit it in the time that remains today. It just means when we reconvene in the morning, Mr. Piner will be back on the stand, and we'll wrap up then. Okay, thanks. All right. Ms. Yarber, you ready for the jurors to come back?
Sure, Judge.
Sure. Anything we need to talk about before then?
No, Judge.
Mr. Polanco, same question?
No, I don't think so.
No, you're not ready or nothing we need to discuss?
Nothing to discuss.
So we don't have to have them step out before we're done for the day. My plan was to tell them to come at 10 tomorrow. That'll still give you, I understand you've got a 10 o'clock. We're gonna keep it short. I may appear on the Zoom in the background. You can say, look, I gotta go. There's a judge. You're saying it's about 15 minutes and it starts at 10. Is that accurate?
Yes, so
Yes, but
I'm gonna do everything in my power to ask the judge to take me first at 10 on the dot. But the problem is that they also are doing court from 8 o'clock to 10, and sometimes they run over. And
Okay.
I have no control over that aspect of it,
okay.
but I'll handle it. And
Okay.
I'll be here available for whatever needs to be done.
Okay, I'm asking you all to be here 10 minutes before 10. Because that way you can get set up on your Zoom and whatnot. So Mr. Piner and Ms. Yarber, 9:50, 5:00, Mr. Terry, Mr. Polanco, we'll be open before then. I'll be sitting right here doing these other conferences. You can come earlier, don't be later than 10 of. I'll have them come at 10. We'll go till about noon. I have a lunch meeting. You'll get a long lunch and then we'll be back at it after lunch. Okay? Let's bring the jurors in, please.
All right, the dirt. Snow, Wisconsin. Endorsement, Wisconsin. Oh.
Sorry, I didn't sign myself. Do you want me to switch back to where I was at? Where were you? I was right, yeah. I was in. Oh, you want? I don't care. There are windows, but I did leave my walkie talkie. I know, I left my stuff too. I'll run them. Thank you so much.
It's always interesting to watch people get in seat fights. That's my seat. No, it's your seat. Okay.
Really kind of feel.
All right. Everyone else can be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue with the examination of Mr. Piner. Ms. Yarber finished the direct examination. Mr. Polanco is entitled to cross-examine Mr. Piner. We'll start that. We won't get through it before we break for the day, but we'll go for about a half hour. When we reach a natural break point, we'll stop then, maybe a little before 5, maybe a little after. And at that point, we'll talk about when we're reconvening tomorrow. Mr. Piner, if you will come back up here, please, sir. All right, Mr. Polanco, your witness. Okay, thank you.
So good afternoon, Mr. Piner. As you know, I represent your spouse in this matter. So throughout the direct testimony with your lawyer, you had a lot of things to say about your current spouse, Mr. Terry. Most of them were bad. Do you have anything good out of these past 8 years of marriage to say about Mr. Terry?
Do I get a moment to think about it?
Absolutely.
I wish him the best of luck in life, and I hope that he goes and takes his life and becomes independent and moves forward with it.
So you wish him the best.
It's the only way that you can ever get away from someone is if they themselves live their own life independent of yours. So what he does with his life, he needs to go and take care of, and what I do with my life, I need to go take care of.
Okay. But nothing positive during those 8 years at all. Just aspirationally in the future, you wish him the best.
Those were very hard times to live through. And I would say that, there were times where maybe we laughed. There were maybe times where we had fun playing a video game together. When I think of the relationship, I do think of the more recent years after the pandemic. So it is much harder to think of the past and remember the past. But I would say that I don't know necessarily what I could say that was very positive about that relationship, if it was a very toxic relationship.
Okay, let's talk about some of those toxic elements. And we'll stop, as the court mentioned, around 5 o'clock. So one of the first things that you testified on direct was regarding Mr. Terry's use of a hookup app that is known as Grindr. And you said that he used this application, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you recognize this phone number? It's 404-952-9451.
Yes.
Okay, what is that number?
I believe that was my old number.
Okay. And when you mean it was my old number, was it a phone number that you used during the marriage?
That was my phone number until his father threatened me, and then I had to change my phone number.
Okay. Was that your
I want
phone?
to make sure I heard that correctly. Your father, there's nothing about Mr. Terry.
No, Mr. Terry, my father died many years ago. Mr. Terry's father threatened me August 4th, and then I had to change my phone number.
Okay, a father, not yours, Mr. Terry's threatened you, and that prompted you to change a phone number.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Was this your phone number between 2018 and 2026 and 2025?
I believe so, yes.
Is it just, okay. All right, number one.
Number one, this is defense respondent
Defense
one?
Yeah.
Okay. And Ms. Yarber, you have a copy of respondent one?
Yeah, Judge, I'm pulling up the digital copy that I have.
Okay. Sure.
All right. Now, if I may approach, Your Honor. Well, yeah, I think it's.
You may. No, both attorneys have continuing authority to approach witnesses, to hand them exhibits, et cetera. If you've got a bunch, you can just bring the rest next time rather than back and forth. But we'll start with respondents one.
Okay. Just number one, Mr. Piner, if you could just take, it'll probably take 3 minutes. If you want to just sort of glance through the document, it contains maybe 10 pages. And let me know if you recognize it once you do.
So which side's his side in this and what side's my side? Is it the one on the right or the one on the left?
So take some time to take a close look. I think it'll become self-evident once you take a close look.
And the threshold question, Mr. Piner, after you've looked at it, is do you recognize what that is? And then Mr. Polanco may have more. But if you look at that and say, I have no idea what this is, Mr. Polanco needs to go in a different direction. So, Mr. Piner, I don't need you to process every line on there. At this point, are you in a position to talk about whether you recognize what Respondents Exhibit 1 is?
I don't remember the specific conversation off the top of my head, but it does look like a conversation that came from me based on the phone number, and then it's very funny, so it sounds like my humor. So yes,
So it would be a text exchange between you and Mr. Terry?
yes.
Okay, all right.
And that's all I needed, Your Honor. So with that, I would tender P1,
No objections.
D1, D1.
R1.
R1, R1, R1 is admitted.
Okay. All right, Mr. Piner. So, just to give some common frame reference. So the text messages are organized from page 1 through 8,500 or so. And so I'll be referring to page numbers when I ask the questions. So, do you recognize in this R1, do you recognize what conversation you're having with Mr. Terry about, more or less, just very generally?
Is
You know-
this chronological? Is this one continuous text message? Because it goes about his family wanting money from me to me talking about making references to when I was raped in Las Vegas to stuff about demons. Is this one chronological message in one day, or is these several different days of text messages?
Okay, so the text messages are timestamped and they are continuous. So if they're together, that means that they are continuous. They have not been tampered with in any way or cut, sliced, or anything.
So the question was, having had a chance to kind of review it, can you summarize for the jury, we were having a conversation about X, whatever that X would be?
I believe I can summarize the conversation after I've read it. I don't particularly remember this conversation because you don't remember every conversation you have, but this does look like a conversation we did have.
And what was the conversation about?
It appears to be talking about his family wanting money from me, and then it moves to, and I don't know where I was at or what this was about, but it was talking about some dude wanting to cuddle me. And then because Chris was upset that I had gotten raped in Las Vegas when I was on a work trip. And so I was referencing the time that I'd gotten raped in Las Vegas in reference to, Grindr, because again, it was kind of silly that he was doing all this Grindr stuff. So I had this very mocking attitude about it. And I was asking him, oh, should I cuddle this dude that was like messaging me? I'm worried I'm going to get raped, because I actually do have very considerable fear of rape from other people after that incident that occurred in Las Vegas. And it looks like he was talking about something regarding possession by demons. And then there's a stuffed animal, and then stuff about some lobster rolls. And something about me leaving a call.
Okay, so just from, just to clarify, so the text messages will touch on different subjects because that's sort of the nature of human communication, but I'll try to direct like whatever it is that I'm trying to ask about. In this particular case on R1, what I wanted to ask is this, would you agree that this is a text message showing a conversation between you and then your boyfriend, because you were not yet married in September of 2018, about you deciding or debating, I guess, with yourself and asking for his opinion on whether you should use the hookup app Grindr in order to connect with somebody who had expressed an interest in cuddling with you? Is that an accurate representation of what R1 depicts?
As I read it, that does seem like an accurate
Okay.
depiction of it.
That's all I wanted to get across. So let me now sort of jump from 2018 to present day and talk about 21. Because 21 is certified copies of all the TPOs that have been involved in the relationship between you and Mr. Terry between July of 2025 through present, I guess. And you've testified about TPOs just a few minutes ago, right?
I did.
Okay, so with 21, I've organized it. It's actually 3 documents in one. The first one, which is the first one that I want to discuss. Your Honor, I don't need to authenticate it because they're self-authenticating, so I would tender them into evidence as certified documents from Fulton Superior Court. Excuse me. So I think we'll just address
No
that.
objection to R21.
We'll address that.
documents.
Okay, R21 is admitted and you can publish it.
Great. I'll give you a copy if I may. There's 3 documents in there.
Can I unpaper clip your thing? Is that okay?
Yes.
I won't separate them out.
They just don't have page numbers, so as long as you don't.
I'll try not to put them out of order for you.
There's.
What's this? Is there 2 ex parte orders in here? Is this a duplicate?
No, they're like different. There's 3 different ones. So there's the petition where you ask for a TPO, but that only gives you an ex parte, and then you get a 12-month. And then you get a
So-
3-year permanent after that.
But
So
these
there's
2 documents appear to be the exact same document. Are they not?
Well, it's hard for him to see what
Oh,
you're,
I'm sorry. You want
he may need to come up here.
Are these not the same document?
Well, right, because the ex parte will have a copy of the petition.
Oh,
Does that make
okay.
sense?
So this and this is one document because it contains 2 documents in one, and then this is a separate document.
So why don't you ask some questions, Mr. Polanco, about
Yeah, I think-
respondents 21?
Yeah, yeah, the organization is not that important. Let's just focus on the substance. Okay, so on July 15th, 2025. So that's about a year ago, right? Because we're in August now, about 2026. About a year ago, you came to Superior Court in Fulton County because you live in Alpharetta, is that correct?
Correct.
You lived with your husband at Summerlin Place in Alpharetta?
2207 Summerwood Lane.
Summerwood Lane, okay. And so you came to court and you submitted this document, which is a petition for a TPO. And it says, now, first of all, who wrote this document? Was this drafted by you?
This was not drafted by me.
Who drafted it?
The Atlanta Volunteer, the AVLF, the Volunteer Lawyers Foundation, and then the Partners Against Domestic Violence. It has an SFO in the top left signifying it comes from their office.
Okay, and what does the SFO stand for?
Safe Families Office.
Safe Families Office, okay. So is this a pro bono group, or is this a group that you had to pay in order to get them to fill out because you mentioned during direct that you had paid somebody to fill out some TPO applications?
I did not pay anyone, and I do not remember stating that I paid anyone to fill out a PTO application. I did pay a lawyer to attend the TPO hearing, which was hired after this was filed.
Okay,
3 days later when he appeared at my apartment complex. This was a result of a police call where he had broken my phone because I had tried to call 911. I had went and called the domestic hotline, who informed me that you need to go to the courthouse and file a protective order when I described my situation. I went to my therapist. I discussed with her if this was an appropriate, rational action to do. She agreed. I came to the 8th floor. It's in I believe the other building over there. There's a window that you go to. When you go to that window, you ask for assistance in filing a protective order. If you meet a certain standard in the window, whatever criteria they use, I'm not aware of how the system here works. It's very complicated, but they give you a pink slip. And if they give you that pink slip, you can go down to the second floor, and I believe it's the second floor. This building can get quite confusing, which is where the Safe Families office is. And they do intake. They see if a protective order is reasonable, and if so, they'll help you and assist in drafting and presenting that order to the court.
Okay, so let's just focus on what you wrote in, or your Safe Families Office assistants wrote in this paper. It says that around 3 a.m., Mr. Terry broke your phone by slamming it into the ground when you said you would call the police.
Yes.
Was that a
that's
true
correct.
statement?
That is a true statement.
He says that you allege that he scratched your hand.
When he was.
That is a true
That
statement.
is a true statement.
Okay. That he also broke, I don't know if it's the same phone or a different phone, 6 days earlier on July 6th for the same reason, which presumably means that you were going to call the police and he slammed the phone for that reason.
Yes.
Okay, so he interfered with 2 prospective calls to the police.
Yes.
Okay, something that was never mentioned during direct. Correct? You never mentioned that just 15 minutes ago.
I believe I did mention that he would take my phone from me when I would try to call 911.
Okay. And you say in this petition that you wanted to call the police because he was destroying things in the kitchen.
That is a summarization of why I wanted to call the police, correct?
What was he destroying in the kitchen?
Plates and other materials. He was grabbing stuff of random, like the Starbucks cups and other things, and he was slamming them in the floor. It was in relation to Joseph Foley, a partner of his at the time.
Okay, so he was destroying, are these plastic cups or permanent cups from Starbucks?
It was like silverware. He was throwing things at the wall. It was a very scary situation when someone starts grabbing things and just starts throwing them. But it involved plates, utensils, and other items in the general vicinity of the kitchen. A lot of drink cans.
Okay. Were any pictures taken of these, of this, what's the word? I think the British call it, it's not malice, but it starts with an M. Mayhem.
So in the photos that she presented of the kitchen was shortly after this time. Some of it was cleaned up by then, but since he had taken my phone and destroyed it, there was not any kind of device I had to take immediate evidence. And naturally, you know, in domestic violence situations, until you start working with advocates who tell you what to do, you're not in the mindset of, oh, I need to collect evidence.
Okay, but you collected evidence in 2015 multiple times because those were admitted as exhibits. Let's see. One, photos of you, I guess you had been scratched in your eyeglasses, and there were pictures of some sunburn in your, which you allege were strangulation. And there were pictures of, so you did document things back in 2014, 15, years before you even got married and years before even these TPO allegations.
That's
sort of
true.
arose.
I think both things can be true at the same time. You can have your phone broken and not be in a position to gather evidence. And you also can be in such a position where things have gone on for so long and you're so stressed out that evidence isn't always top of mind.
Okay. So continuing on the events of July 12th, 2025, you tried to take a nap, but he is not allowing you to sleep.
That's correct. He wanted his, I'll avoid the word boyfriend because he had a lot of partners and I don't want to define his relationship. So I will just simply say a partner of his online. His name was Joseph Foley. He goes by the internet handle name of Mac. He was a witness at my 1-year TPO hearing who flew in from Chicago. He had blocked Chris after Chris had he had asked Chris, if I said no, if we had sex, would you not have sex with me? And Chris said, well, I'm going to have sex with you regardless if you say yes or no. And then Joseph Foley's response was, and I personally witnessed this interchange because he shared it with me. He said that, that is rape. The respondent disagreed with him. And in the course of the two of them having conversations, Joseph Foley blocked him. And Mr. Terry, your client, the respondent, his demand to me, as Mac is also my friend, was that he needed to unblock him. And it was my responsibility to have this other man unblock him so that he could keep communicating with him. And until his demand for this other man to unblock him was met, then I wasn't going to get any peace in the home. That includes sleeping, that includes his different fits, and et cetera. And then as you'll read on, there's some more allegations that can explain some more of that mindset. But you can continue or ask further questions.
Sure. Yeah, I got all day. So I guess going back to the original question, it says that one of the reasons you took out this TPO is because he's interrupting your sleep.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right. How is he doing that?
He would walk in the room and start screaming very loudly with his voice and it would wake me up. He would also rip my CPAP machine, like the mask and I wear a full mask CPAP machine on my head. He'd rip that off my face because he would remind me that Mac hadn't unblocked him yet. So, I mean, I don't need to be sleeping. I need to be working on getting Mac to unblock him.
Okay. All right. So according to this, you called the police to get him to stop going into your room and screaming and waking you up, and that the police told him to leave, and they called an ambulance because they believed he was mentally unstable.
Correct.
Okay.
The police actually gave him an option. They told him that he could choose between jail or going to the hospital. And they were trying their hardest to see if he could go to the hospital because, police try to work with the community and the people. I mean, they're not always the worst people alive, and they were trying to get him to get some help because he was clearly distressed.
So what day was that?
I don't want to quote an exact date because I don't remember that area of time very well, but it was several days before the TPO was filed.
Okay. Was it documented in your phone? Did you take any pictures of the police arriving?
Actually, I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually do have a photo of the ambulance and all that on my phone, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because I wanted the police to have like full time with him alone. So I was sitting like further away from the apartment than they wanted me to, because I wanted him to have time with the police to work it out without me hearing it or having an interaction.
Okay. So the next paragraph talks about how he's threatened your life multiple ways. That he screams in your ear and has hurt your hearing. And has punched holes in the wall.
Mhm.
So are all those 4 things true?
Yes,
Okay.
as they are described in this document, they are true.
Okay. So this says in the last few weeks, so few weeks prior to July 12th, all of this is happening.
That is, so all of this, can you quantify what all of this means? Because this document does include multiple years, so I don't want to attribute a 2017 item to 2026.
No, I mean, I'm just trying to get your input because since this is your sworn document, this is what you use to get the TPO going.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure that I know what you're basing your TPO allegations on. So it says, I can only go by your own words. In the last few weeks, not talking about years, months.
Yeah, if you're talking about that one line, I was thinking you were talking about like the whole thing. I'm sorry.
No, just talking about that one paragraph.
I only do have an 8th grade education. But in the last few weeks, R has threatened P's life multiple times. R says, I will die, you will die. So yes, that is very true.
Okay, so he is he's basically threatening to both commit basically suicide and murder at the same time.
He was making it very clear that he could not live if I was dead, and that he could not guarantee that I would continue to live.
Okay.
And
So-
this was multiple conversations. This is a summarization of the various ways in which he was threatening my life at the moment.
So I guess my question, sort of from just a very ignorant sort of, point of view, is if this occurred a couple of weeks before you called the police because he's coming into your room screaming to wake you up, and you reported that to the police and got him into an ambulance, why wouldn't you report the murder-suicide to the police a few weeks earlier?
That's an excellent question. It's because we're both men and calling the police about these kind of things is very difficult. I hold the belief personally that when a woman calls the police and says that my husband said this, the police are pretty much, going to ignore her. But when it's two men, they're going to look at you and go, what are you talking about? Because it's just something someone said. So I don't know what calling the police would have done. In my mind, what would have happened is the police would have come out, they would have heard my story, he would have said whatever he had to say about it, and then when they leave, what do I do? When they leave, and because they're not going to arrest someone because you said something about them that they said to you. So when they leave, what do I do? Because now the police have been out there, he knows I called the police, and now he has access to me.
Okay. So the next paragraph talks about you being regularly hit or slapped by your husband. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
That he regularly pours liquids and trash on you.
That was in my previous testimony, and that is correct.
That when you have a disagreement, he claims that he is God or Jesus Christ.
That is correct.
And that he calls you trash.
That is correct.
And that he doesn't allow you to close the door inside the home.
That is correct. And do you need the specific door, or is it?
I'm not sure. Which door is it?
It would be the back bedroom door or any door in the room that I was in. I was not able, like, if I closed the door, he would start snatching on it, and pounding on it and those kind of things. But yeah, I was not allowed to close the doors in the home.
Okay. Another thing that you claim is that, you testified to this effect during direct, that he puts his hand over your mouth and prevents you from breathing.
Yep. That is correct.
And this is usually when you try to call the police.
That is correct.
So he's trying to put his hand over your mouth when you're using the phone to call police, to report that he is waking you up and preventing you from sleep.
I think you're confusing two things in one statement. R puts his hand over P's mouth and nose and stops him from breathing often, usually when P tries to call the police. So in several attempts before then to call the police, and it might not have exclusively been about him waking me up, but it could have been from any kind of other incident where I would want to scream for help, or said I was going to call the police. He would put his hand over my mouth like this, and he would use his index finger and thumb to pinch my nose.
Okay. So in the next box, which, moving to it's clause number 5. So you testified to these facts. So in 2014, he's arrested for slapping you in public.
Correct.
In by the way, what happened to that case?
Do you want the full story of the case?
Sure.
At the time, his grandmother had co-signed on a Mitsubishi Eclipse. So it was a car that me and his grandmother owned. I was informed by his family that if he was convicted of this crime, I would lose the vehicle and that I needed to cooperate with them to recant. So I had to become a hostile witness in that case and cooperate with his attorney at the time, and a defense attorney like Mr. Planko is in his criminal case. And in order to keep that vehicle, or they were going to seize the vehicle from me since this is his grandmother's name.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt. So he slapped you
in public outside of the Gwinnett County Department of Health, Community Health
Community
Center.
Health.
Right. He was then
Police was
arrested.
called. He was arrested for slapping you.
Correct.
He was charged with simple battery, a misdemeanor.
Correct.
And after he bonded out, did you help him bond out?
I was forced to bond him out. Correct.
Forced to bond him out. And when he bonds out, he gets a lawyer, goes back to court, and you said that you were forced to recant because you were going to lose a car if he was convicted of a misdemeanor?
Correct.
How would you lose a Mitsubishi Eclipse if he was convicted of a
His
misdemeanor?
father said that he would come and take it, and then his grandmother was the co-owner of the vehicle. So she said that she had the authority to come and take the vehicle.
So if he were convicted, the grandmother would be granted authority to come get the vehicle?
Well, she would just come and take it. They said they would just come and take it, which, I mean, they're co-owners. I don't know how you would stop someone from taking a car they own.
Okay, so in 2016, you were strangled by, I guess, your boyfriend at the time, you were not yet married, Mr. Christopher Terry. He strangled you and you showed us pictures in P1 to that effect, right?
Correct.
What was that fight about?
I don't remember the specific word for word, but it was very likely about us separating. Generally, almost most of the fights were in regards to separation until his mother passed, and then it became fights about religion and his religious views, along with separating because, you know, at certain points, someone can only talk about heaven and Jesus Christ so much in a day before you start saying, we really need to like separate.
Okay. So he tried to strangle you because you're having a fight about separation, prospectively breaking up as
Yeah.
boyfriends. Okay. And in 2017, you alleged that he threw a plate, causing a wound in your arm.
That's correct.
Okay. And so what was that fight about?
I was sitting on the sofa, he was sitting in the kitchen. He threw the plate at me, and I do believe that was also about breaking up or separating. But it also was in 2017. I can't remember word for word what the discussion was about. Just like I can't remember the exact argument that led him to throw the dog at me, but I do remember him throwing the dog at me. After
Okay.
so many arguments, it all starts blending together.
Okay. So, yeah, so in fact, the next sentence, describing the acts that are predicates to this, ex parte TPO order is that you destroyed 8 phones.
He destroyed, not me.
Sorry, he destroyed.
Correct.
That he destroyed the work laptop.
Yep.
And that he threw the dog at you and injured the dog as revenge.
Yes, he did take the dog and throw the dog at me. He picked the dog up, he lifted it up, and then he threw it from several feet away. And I'm not a scientist, I can't tell you the exact number of feet, but it was the other side of the room. The poor dog hit me. He doesn't have his claws clipped because he's a very paw sensitive puppy, and he, you know, scratched me up a little bit. And then actually, before the PPO was served, a couple of days before the PPO was served, I was trying to get outside of the home to go and call the police and get help because he was in the middle of that Joseph Foley, Matt, the snappy, if you will, incident. And he took the dog and grabbed the dog's head, and he threatened to snap the dog's head if I called the police. Like he was going to snap Sozo's neck if I called the police.
Mm-hmm. All right. During direct, when asked this exact same question about what physical violence, by your own attorney, what acts of physical violence you had been subjected to, you specifically mentioned the following. That you were sprayed with a bottle of Febreze, that you were struck in the ribs with a water bottle, that you were strangled, punched in the eye, check, threw plate at the arms, check, threw something at the monitor,
Yep.
poured soda on you and scratched your face and destroyed the work laptop. But you didn't mention some of the things that you mentioned a year ago in this document. So for example, throwing the dog, destroying the 8 phones, the Jesus Christ, Superstar Complex,
Sir,
Let him finish and then you can answer,
okay.
but hopefully.
The
questions are
terroristic
accomplished.
threats of murder, suicide, destruction of the CPAP machine, destruction of property, the screaming and the sleep interruption. I guess why mention some then and mention some others now, but not, I guess, all at the same time?
So I don't know what you mean by Jesus Christ Superstar. So I want to clarify that. I don't understand what that comment was.
Just to show.
Yeah, it's a show, but it was not mentioned in my thing here. I don't know what your reference to that is.
Okay,
You were
that's
talking about him claiming to be Jesus Christ. I can understand that.
Yeah, that's all I was
But
saying.
he definitely was not in the Jesus Christ Superstar musical or whatever. I mean, there were so many quantity of different events. This document had me in a state of panic, collecting evidence so that I could go to the courthouse, and I took what evidence I had with me to the courthouse. But it's not an exclusive list of events. This document is not the end all exclusive list of events. There's more events than this document and likely what has been said. Like for instance, the water bottle is related to the marriage and all of that stuff. So, I mean, I don't know why I would have to list every single thing that has ever happened at any time when I'm on the stand.
Okay. But regardless of the matter, complete total recall or not, the ex parte order was granted, correct? All right. Do you know how long an ex parte order lasts for?
I'm not a lawyer, so I can't state a matter of law as fact, but I believe it is a 30-day time window to have the person served.
Okay. So when did you serve this? When was this and how was this ex parte order served on your husband? When and where?
So
And by
I
whom?
remember I went to Judge Manning told me that I needed to go and have it served immediately. Because I went in the courtroom, she had already signed it, and then she told me to, call the police if I see him. And then the Safe Families Office, they print out paperwork and advice, and they tell you what to do. And one of the things that they have is an order that allows the police to serve a temporary protective order. So a sheriff takes time, like it can take a week or two for the sheriff to come out and serve something. But since this was an emergency situation and I needed protection that day, I went home and sat in my car and I had a one-on-one with my boss out in my car while I waited for the email with the order to come through. And then I went and printed it out. You have to print out 2 copies, one to serve and one for the police to keep. I went inside and I believe I printed just 1 copy. I think I had to go back in and print another one. I'm not sure. Or there was some missing pages or something like that. But I went and printed it. And then I printed it and then I went outside and I called the police. And then once the police came, I gave them the order. They went in, they served the order, and then they did what's called an eviction because the ex parte TP order included an eviction, which means that he was no longer allowed to stay there pending the 1-year hearing.
Okay, just to be super clear, you married Mr. Terry in 2018, correct?
Correct.
Where did you get married?
The living room?
Of your own house?
Yeah.
Okay. And was that house the apartment in Peachtree Corners or the house in Alpharetta?
We lived in the house in Alpharetta starting in 2016, so it would have been the house in Alpharetta.
The same house that he was served with the TPO in?
Yes.
The same living room, in fact, in which he was served with the TPO,
Yes.
right? Okay. So you got married in 2018. Fast forward 8 years to July 15th of 2025, he gets served with this ex parte TPO. Did he have an opportunity to be asked questions about whether any of these allegations were true or not when you got the ex parte TPO?
I'm gonna object as cause for speculation with if he had a chance to be asked about any allegations.
How would
It's
he,
inherent in the word. He was there. He was present.
so ask the question again, please.
Was when you applied to Judge Manning for an ex parte TPO, did your husband come with you? Did you go by yourself?
I went by myself.
Okay.
So Mr. Terry wasn't there for any of those proceedings. That's the ex parte part of
Right.
it. Okay.
It was ex parte, meaning it was just me.
Okay, it was just you. And did the police, Alpharetta Police, serve the TPO the same day?
They did.
Okay, so he was ejected from, asked to leave the house the same day?
Correct.
Okay. And you had lived there continuously for 8 years?
2016 to 2015. So 9 years?
2025.
8 years? Huh?
You had lived there from 2016 to 2025, right?
Yeah, so 8 or
Okay.
9 years.
Okay.
I just want to be really specific.
All right, did he know or was he like forewarned or did he have any expectation that he was going to be served with this TPO?
I'm gonna object again to cause for speculation on what his client knew or not.
I mean, I think you can give your opinion if somebody looks surprised or,
Well, you could ask that, but again, this witness isn't going to know all the means of communication that could have been deployed with Mr. Terry.
I guess, had you had any prior discussions with Mr. Terry about leaving the house at all?
About breaking up, yes. we
Or
did-
breaking up?
We did discuss breaking up quite frequently.
You did discuss breaking up quite frequently. Had you had any discussions on or around that date of July 15, 2025? About him leaving the house?
I am not sure if we had a discussion about breaking up on that day, as his condition at that point was very dangerous, and I do not think I was in the mood to agitate him. I
Okay.
do remember he asked for $100 and was very, very serious about me giving the $100,
Mhm.
which I sent to him because I was going to put a $100 bill in his car anyway. So
Okay. All right. I think I'll just go ahead and ask that, I mean, if that's okay with the court, I think this would be an appropriate spot to
This is a break point for you
break
in
point
your
because,
flow?
and then we can continue it. I think it's a logical place.
Okay, I mean, you know the flow, and so if you've concluded some of the questions about the TPO and whatnot, then that's a break point. So ladies and gentlemen, we're done for today, Tuesday. Tomorrow, I need you to be here by 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. You all will have received an email at the email address that you put in when you registered as a potential juror that has some basics about where to park and whatnot. Some of it is duplicative of what you had on your summons, but we have a customized thing that we send out to folks. So check your email. It probably came from Ms. Niles. So if you get an email from a Monica Niles, that's my staff attorney, it just tells a little bit about where you could park, things like that. But I need you, I know we've got people from the far reaches, Johns Creek and Fairburn, so it's a bit of a hoof. Please be here as close to 10 as you can. We cannot start until all 14 of you are here. So 13 of you may be waiting and waiting because someone decided not to leave home until 9:45. So let's try to be here on time. Fine to be here early. I get here at 8. The jury room will be open. You can get in there and relax. But know that shuttle, there's a shuttle bus from the free parking. You can park it underground. That's on you. But the free parking that's a little south of here, it runs every 15-ish minutes. So if you roll in at 9:55, you're not going to get here until 10:15, 10:20. Can you make sure they have the number for chambers? Good, it's on the board. To have that number with you, call if you get stuck tomorrow. Hey, I'd love to be here on time, but I have 4 flat tires or whatever the deal is. We can always send Deputy Gordon to come get you. But hopefully we don't need to do that, because if we don't hear from you and it's 10:30 and 13 of you are here and one of you isn't, then we send out the search parties and your neighbors wonder why 4 sheriff's cars showed up at your house. So keep us posted if you're stuck somewhere. Don't talk about the case with others. You're going to get home tonight and you may want to vent to your pet. You could talk to your sozo if you've got a sozo, but don't talk to human companions about the case. No outside research. We'll see you at 10 tomorrow. Any logistical questions? Take your pads with you into the jury room. Leave them there. Don't take them home. You'll be able to get your own pad back tomorrow. And we'll get started then. Okay. Thank you. You had a long day. Tomorrow will be a little shorter.
Sure.
I can step down there. Oh,
It's okay.
I don't want to break that.
All right. It's been an even longer day for you all. I need you here 9:45 tomorrow, lawyers and clients. And Mr. Polanco, you can get set up for your federal Zoom, not in that jury room, but Deputy Gordon or whoever's here can get you set up in the other jury room. Or you can, I don't know how much you'll be doing the talking. You could do it right where you're seated. And we will pick up with Mr. Piner on the stand in the midst of his cross-examination. Ms. Yarber, anything we need to cover from petitioner's side?
Judge, thank you so much.
You bet. Mr. Polanco, anything from respondent's side?
Oh, Judge, sorry. Because of the CPO, do you mind if petitioner and I leave first and stagger?
No, in fact, that was gonna be my next direction, is that you two go, and then I'll just ask Mr. Polanco and Mr. Terry to sit tight, and they'll leave in a little bit.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Terry, where are you staying? You're not driving all the way to Statesboro each night, are you?
No.
You have a local place to stay?
Yeah.
Good.